Hello, dear friends. This is Rabbi Raphael Shuchat, and I'm making this special video on behalf of my friends here in Cluj, in the great synagogue, as we are approaching the holiday of Sukkot, of Tabernacles. I'd like to talk a little bit about the holidays of the year. Well, for one thing, this month, which is the Hebrew month of Tishrei, is the first month of the Jewish year. And we have many holidays in this first month. We have Rosh Hashanah, New Year's for 2 days. We have the holiday of Yom Kippur, which is part of the holidays, but it's really a solemn day of penitence. And it is on the 10th of Tishrei. Then on the 15th day of Tishrei, we have the holiday of Sukkot, of Tabernacles. In Israel, it's 7 days, and after that, Shmini Atzeret. Out of Israel, it's 8 days, and after the 2 days of Shmini Atzeret, which is also called Simchat Torah, the festival of the Torah. And how does the holiday season work? Well, the Jewish holiday season, for one thing, starts from Tishrei, or at least it appears to do so, and jumps over the winter, and appears to continue in the spring with Passover and into the summer. But it's actually not like that. Because even though the Jewish New Year starts on Tishrei, the holidays, or let's say the counting of the months, start from the spring, from the holiday of Passover, from the month of Nisan. In fact, the Torah says specifically in Exodus chapter 12 that the months are counted from the month of Nisan, which is in the spring. So if we try to figure this out, it's something like this. The birth of the Jewish people happens when the Jews leave Egypt. This birth of the Jewish people becomes the beginning of counting the months of the year. And if we notice the way the festivals are, we have what's called 3 Pilgrim festivals. There are 3 festivals in which the Jewish people went to the temple. The first one is Passover, when we were born as a people. The second one is Shavuot, Tabernacles, when we received the Torah. And the third one is Sukkot festival, which is coming up, Tabernacles. And these are called the 3 Pilgrim festivals. But if we try to understand the 3 Pilgrim festivals, we notice something unusual. They start in the spring with Passover, continues into the beginning of the summer with Shavuot, which is Pentecost, and continues till Tabernacles, Sukkot, which is the end of fall, right before the winter. Which means that all of our holidays begin in the spring, continue at the end of the summer, beginning and end of the summer, and stop right before the winter. You see, in Israel, the rain only falls in the winter. And so all of the winter, we have no holidays. We have rabbinic holidays, like Hanukkah and Purim, but we have no holidays from the Bible. To understand this, you have to understand how the agricultural year works in the land of Israel. The agricultural year starts with planting. That is the Passover festival. It's the festival of the spring, when you plant. Pentecost, which is Shavuot, the giving of the Torah, is the festival of the harvest, when you harvest the crops. The third festival, Sukkot, is called the festival of the ingathering of the crops, removing them from the field after the summer, putting them into the silo, into the bin, into the barn, so that they will be protected from the rain and to hold on to them during the winter when food is more scarce. So basically, we see that the holiday period starts with planting, continues with reaping, and ends with harvesting. So that the holidays follow the agricultural year of the land of Israel, where it rains in the rainy season, which is the winter, and it does not rain from the spring until the next rainy season. So this already shows us that there's a relationship between holidays and the agriculture. Because in an agricultural society, people give praise to God when they have a successful year, because that's the way it should be. If you harvest and you have success, you have to show gratitude. Another interesting thing about these three pilgrim holidays, Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot, so they also represent three parts or three stages within the life of the Jewish people. Passover, which is the spring, which is the beginning of plant life, was also the beginning of the Jewish people as a people. We entered Egypt as 70 people, as a tribe. We came out of Egypt as a nation. In fact, Pharaoh is the first one to say, "Behold, the nation of Israel is becoming mighty and plentiful." So we leave Egypt as a nation. That is our birth. Just like in the spring, the flowers, the grass, the trees come to life again. Shavuot, which represents the harvest, is when God harvests his Torah, you might say, from the heaven and gives it to us. It's also called the giving of the Torah because it's sort of like after you get born on Passover, the child becomes bar bat mitzvah. They come to the age where they gain intelligence and reason, and they can start to learn. That's called the giving of the Torah. And the third stage, which is the holiday of the ingathering of the crops of Sukkot. So just like you can gather the crops into the house, God will eventually ingather the Jewish people back into its land. Because of this, Franz Rosenzweig, writing in the beginning of the 20th century, in his famous book, The Star of Redemption, wrote that those three festivals can represent three milestones in the history of the Jewish people. He said Passover is like the creation of the people, which reminds us the creation of the world. So he called Passover creation. Shavuot, the giving of the Torah, represents revelation. God reveals himself to the Jewish people through the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments. That's revelation. And Sukkot, which represents the ingathering of the exiles. And also, according to the book of Amos, chapter 9, the temple is called the falling sukkah, the falling booth of David. And so our sitting in the sukkah represents the Jewish people sitting in the temple back in its land. So this represents redemption. And these become the three milestones of Jewish history, according to Franz Rosenzweig: creation, revelation, and redemption. So that the holidays represent, on the one hand, an agricultural year, on the second hand, milestones within the birth of the Jewish people, and on the third hand, milestones within the history of the beginning of the world until the final redemption, according to Franz Rosenzweig. So these are simple ideas that I wanted to give across.